With the recent reveal of the new Terastallizing phenomenon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, a lot of people have noticed how this mechanic is very similar to the Crystal Onyx from the early episodes of the anime.
And I am definitely right about this time. There is no way this isn't going to be a thing.
With that said, the anime is constantly doing stuff like this, where it basically predicts or foreshadows things that happen in the games way ahead of time. And in this video, I just wanted to talk about that and highlight all of the different times where this has occurred. So without further ado, let's get right into it. You know, everyone loves a good piece of Pokemon merch, which is why I am very grateful for today's sponsor, Zavvi. If you're interested in pretty much anything Pokemon related, Zavvi has got you covered. They've got everything from cards, to mugs, to even exclusive pop figures like this flocked Pikachu that they sent me. And they've also got clothes, and on that note, I have just gotta say that they have this Psyduck hoodie and this Pikachu hoodie on their UK website, and they are probably the single coolest Pokemon clothing items I think I have ever seen. So, to all of you UK folks out there, get on this. In addition to Pokemon, they also offer merch from a ton of other popular franchises as well, like Marvel, Star Wars, Harry Potter, and like a ton of different anime series. So if you have been on the hunt for any kind of merch lately, Zavvi is the place to go, especially because when you use the link in the description and code HOOPS at checkout, you'll get 10% off of anything you buy and 20% off of any clothing. So give it a look and treat yourself, and a big thank you to Zavvi once again for supporting the channel. So when it comes to all these future predictions, there's technically no way to know if they were actually teasing or foreshadowing anything. While some of these are definitely teases, others seem to be more like they inspired what happened in the games later on, so it's more of a retroactive prediction if that makes sense. Regardless though, there are some freaky connections when it comes to this stuff, especially considering how far back some of this stuff goes in the anime, like for instance, the Crystal Onyx. This special Onyx made its appearance in an episode of the anime titled The Crystal Onyx, which originally debuted all the way back in 1999, a whopping 23 years before Terastallizing became a thing in Scarlet and Violet. With how unique this Onyx is, and especially considering that it also seems to be a different type since it's not affected by the water, it's hard to believe that it's not connected in any way to how the Terastal phenomenon came about. However, we don't actually know at this point if Onyx is going to be in Scarlet and Violet or not, and it would kind of be hilarious if it wasn't, to be honest, but I am personally convinced that there is probably some connection between these two things behind the scenes in some way, especially when you consider all of the other future connections and predictions that the anime has indeed made over the years, like regional variants and even shiny Pokemon. Just like the Crystal Onyx, who appears within the Orange Islands, there are other Pokemon in this location that basically foreshadow both shiny Pokemon and regional variants, such as the Valencian Pokemon and Pinkin Pokemon appearing as alternate colored forms of their species, before shiny Pokemon were even a thing. And the same can also be said for regional variants as well, especially when you look at Valencian Butterfree, who also has a different wing pattern in addition to a different color, and is quite literally a regional variant. I think Game Freak definitely took some inspiration from this part of the anime when it came to regional variants, and honestly, for Pokemon Sun and Moon as a whole. Not only did regional variants debut in these games, but these games also feature the Alola region, which is an island region just like the Orange Islands, and which also features the Island Challenge, an alternative to Pokemon gyms where the player participates in challenges with their Pokemon instead of traditional battles, which is the exact same way that the Orange Island League operates in the anime. Given all of the connections to Kanto in Sun and Moon as well, there is no way that the Orange Islands didn't at least play a part in making Sun and Moon into what it is, which is pretty cool considering how long ago those episodes premiered. In fact, it seems like the anime had a lot to do with Sun and Moon's development, because another thing in these games that definitely comes from the anime is Alolan Raichu. With Alolan Raichu having the Psychic type, surfing on its tail, and having blue eyes, there is no doubt that it was absolutely inspired by the surfing Pikachu, Puka, from the anime, who has blue eyes, psychic powers, and also surfs. While this one is more likely to just be a source of inspiration, however, like I said, there have been some definitive actual foreshadowing moments that have gone on as well. The most famous of which has to be in the very first episode of the anime when Ash sees Ho-Oh, and the Pokédex says that there are still Pokemon who have yet to be identified. A clear nod at Pokemon Gold and Silver, which were on the horizon at the time of the anime's premiere. Meanwhile, another example of foreshadowing that occurred much more recently occurs in the Sun and Moon anime, where they hardcore hinted at Galar before Gen 8 had been officially revealed. In the episode Bright Lights, Big Changes, a character named Loki is filming for his TV show, and one of the scenes in the show has a backdrop that is clearly meant to resemble London, which is a clear hint to the UK-based Galar region, which would officially be revealed not too long after this episode's premiere. And right smack dab in between the Sun and Moon arc and the original Kanto arc was the Diamond and Pearl arc, and in the episode The Brockster is In, James drops a very sly reference to Pokemon Black and White, which had not yet been released at the time. During a treasure hunt with Jessie and Meowth, where they're apparently hoping to find gold, silver, platinum, rubies, sapphires, diamonds, or pearls, which is also a clear nod to a lot of previous games, James goes on to say, it's not quite that black and white, which is yet another nod to the then upcoming 5th gen games. When this episode premiered, the games were right around the corner and therefore were publicly known about already, but it's still a pretty cool reference. Next, we're gonna step back in time once more and look at some pretty crazy connections to future games that came from all the way back in the earlier episodes of the show. In the episode Enlighten Up, Misty imagines what she says is a legendary water Pokemon, but rather than a legendary, it looks nearly identical to Mega Gyarados, who debuted over a decade later in Pokemon X and Y. The resemblance between these two is so striking that there is most likely an official connection here of some kind. And what makes it even more interesting is that later on, Misty did eventually come to own a Gyarados and has even used Mega Gyarados as well, making for a really crazy full circle connection. There's also the case of the giant Dragonite in the episode Mystery at the Lighthouse, which connects really well to the Dynamaxing mechanic from Sword and Shield. And it's also really coincidental that Bill, who is also seen in this episode, has a bit of a British accent in the English dub, and he also talks about discovering new Pokemon that have never been seen before. I don't think they had Dynamaxing in mind all the way back then or anything, that's not what I'm trying to say, but it is kinda crazy how well everything kinda just comes together here. Additionally, we've even got some foreshadowing going on in one of the movies, as in the third movie, Spell of the Unknown, Molly's dad is showing her a book of legendary Pokemon, filled with artist depictions of what they might look like. And there are two in particular that line up very distinctly with legendary Pokemon from generations well after Gen 2 when this movie came out. First, there's this picture of a sun-like Pokemon with a lion-like face shining its rays over a tropical beach, which is pretty much an exact depiction of Solgaleo, one of the legendary Pokemon of the tropical Alola region in Generation 7. Next, there's a picture of a person, oddly enough, but they appear very heavenly, almost godlike, and they have the unknown surrounding them, which is probably exactly how someone in the world of Pokemon would draw Arceus if they had never seen it before, especially because this person seems to be using the unknown in a very similar way to how Arceus does in the games. Those two are pretty decisive in my opinion, but what do you think? Are there any other bits of foreshadowing in the anime that I missed? And what else from the anime do you think is eventually going to be that next hint at what will be included in future games? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed for more. With that said, I will be back very soon with another video. Thanks so much for watching this one, and until then, as always, I will smell you guys later.